Welcome to the ER Break Room, the University of Florida Department of Emergency Medicine's podcast. In here, we get to know each other, celebrate our achievements, and highlight our initiatives. I'm your host, Michael Petrauskas. In this episode, we dive into last month's residency match with our featured guest. But first, let's hit the highs of the month. Welcome back, Emily Young, who is our Administrative Specialist 3. We all missed Emily when she left our office for a brief stint in the College of Medicine office, but are so happy she decided to return to our department. Welcome Kelly Cheney, who is our Clinical Administrative Specialist 1. Welcome incoming residents who match to UFEM. We are so excited to teach and work with you and also learn about and from you. Feel free to start buying apparel and calling yourselves Gators. Congratulations to Drs. Joanne Betancourt, Ashley Dawson, and Marcus Nash, who were voted residency chiefs for the upcoming academic year. We look forward to working with this group of leaders who will be collectively known as JAM. Shoutouts to emergency medicine critical care doctors Torben Becker and John Bruno on your hard work with ECMO or eCPR at UF Health. This technology saved its first life in our health system, and the patient went back to work in 2 weeks. Congratulations, Dr. Colleen Gutman, for receiving the SAEM Academy of Women in Academic Emergency Medicine First Author Research Publication Award. This award was given to Dr. Gutman for her publication, Race, Ethnicity, Language, and the Treatment of Low-Risk Febrile Infants. Congratulations to UF medical student Rose Kuchekpour and her mentor, Dr. Ronnie Wren, who were awarded a national-level Society of Academic Emergency Medicine Intergroup grant for her project titled UF Simulation-Based Case Competition. We look forward to participating in this exciting event next spring. Happy Administrative Professionals Day to all of our wonderful administrative staff. We are so lucky to work with you, and you are essential to our department. And finally, on a sad note, goodbye to pediatric emergency Dr. Chrissy Zaretsky, who is leaving for new opportunities. Dr. Zaretsky has served our department extensively in the clinical, educational, research, and service missions, and has worked hard to improve our department's well-being. Thank you, Chrissy. We will miss you. Today's featured guest is Dr. Lars Beattie, who is the UF Emergency Medicine Residency Program Director and a Clinical Associate Professor in our department. And Dr. Beattie, Lars, thank you for coming on. Super excited. It's a timely appearance because it is the match season just wrapped up, and you are the king of all things match here at UFEM. But we're also going to take this opportunity to dive into you and who you are. So welcome.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate you doing this and explaining what all this stuff is all about.
That's cool. Very cool.
Break room studio here.
That's right. That's awesome. So here we are in the studio. So, all right. So I know you have many layers, and there's a lot of character and depth to you. So I'm going to dive in. So, I know snippets per usual. I kind of do my little my snooping before the episode. So where did you grow? Where are you from? Where did you grow up? I know you've got some European background here. What's the story? Where are you from, Dr. Beattie?
Well, I'm from New Jersey. Not as exciting as I think.
Wow, disappointed. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. My mom was Norwegian and my dad's American. They met in Paris. You know
what? That's romantic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And but that's where I was born.
What's that story? They met in Paris. Tell me the story. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, I guess just the thing. My mom was, she was a concert pianist and, doing her shtick there.
Wow.
And my dad was a painter. I mean, go figure. Right? It's
wow.
More Parisian than that. I don't know. But yeah. So, and yeah, I guess just in, passing met and the rest is sort of history. But,
so they moved to your dad was from the United States, he's American, and they decided to live in the U.S. and they moved to New Jersey?
Yeah, pretty much. So, they renovated an old barn, which doesn't sound very nice, but yeah, they basically bought a barn, renovated it, turned it into a house, and that's where I was born. That's right.
No way. This explains a lot. Wow. That's almost like a hippie story, or something like yes.
I mean, this is
Bohemian. Bohemian, yes, Bohemian, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, are you only child? Do you have brothers and
Only
sisters?
child.
Only child. Okay. So
Yeah.
tell me about life around. So you speak a little Norwegian, correct?
I did.
Yes.
So when was it? So it must have been about 9.
Mm-hmm.
We moved to Norway. I think there was a lot going on. The arts. My parents. My dad had a career as a businessman doing things in New York, but I think wanted to sort of focus on arts. And I don't know. Norway supports a lot of arts, and I think the opportunities there for artists was what drew my parents eventually to decide to move there. And
Very cool.
my mom was like, "Well, you need to learn your mother's tongue as well." So, I don't know. It was definitely for a kid, a 9-year-old kid. It was like, "What? We're going
my gosh.
there?"
Yeah, right. Because you had your friends. You were in school. You were at that. You're not quite a puberty adolescent, but you're at that age where you've settled. You've got your routine, and then you just kind of get yanked out of it. How was that? How did that affect you?
It was tough. It was tough. And plop straight into a public school in Norway.
Wow.
It was interesting. And there's nothing like motivating it to learn another language when you have no friends except people that speak this other language.
Goodness.
So it learned pretty quickly.
Wow. And so how long did you spend there?
We were there for about 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
So I did, middle school and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, it was an interesting time. Initially I was like the Amerikaner, the sort of guy. I don't know. It was like it was the height of the Cold War, right? So
oh my gosh!
There was a lot of sort of feelings, and it was a very sort of, polarizing kind of thing. And but anyway, brought people to my group. There was a lot of interest in American football and baseball, so that was like my first moves. We actually got in the newspaper for playing American football, but there's no football gear, so we used hockey gear. And so we're out in these sort of, there's like this I think sort of missionary school right nearby where we lived that had these great open lawns, and so we used to go out there and play American football.
Wow! Just picture this. Wow, that's really interesting. So wow, okay, so by the end, though, I'm sure you were completely fluent. Did you have an accent in America? Did the other kids say you had a U.S. accent, American accent?
No, I mean you learn really quick. I mean, when you're a kid, I think you sort of get the sort of accents and dialects. And there's something called Stavangelsk, which is we lived in Stavanger. And that dialect is something that is in the way I speak Norwegian to this day, to the point where my relatives are like, "Oh man, you're Stavanger dialect," because I still sound like that. So I really, picked it up.
That's cool. That's super cool. So then you're there for 4 years, which now you've made new friends. You're settled down. You're in your group, and then your parents decide to move back to the U.S.? Or?
Yeah, well, this was a tough point. My dad ended up passing away.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that.
And so that sort of nothing like a lesson of live life now, right?
Wow.
So, leukemia, very sudden. Basically it seemed like a cold, but it didn't get better. And then one day really was really sick, sweating, and went to the hospital, and that was
that's insane. I'm sorry.
It was pretty sudden, and so that was some dark years there. But
and that was probably what, age 13, 12, 13. That is really
about 13.
It's a tough age to. I mean, for anyone to lose anyone at any point is tough, but especially that age, formative.
It was definitely like an eye opener. It was like I think I'd lived a very cush life, very protected life. It was really wonderful. It was great. And that was like, wow, life is transient. And in many ways, I think influenced decisions that affected me throughout my life, and this sort of a theme. And I don't know, something, I don't know. I still think about that day to day with emergency medicine, right? Because that's, you apply it to sort of bend the arc of disease, right, for the good of people. And that's something that, I think still carries on.
Absolutely. And also on the flip side of that, when people do come in extremis or unexpectedly sick, like you have this incredible insight to that condition and able to bring I mean, just a personal experience, and also how
I
privileged
think
we are.
that sort of compassion, like
Yes,
there's a understanding of those moments with the family and the patient, and
absolutely.
I think to varying levels, I'm able to bring that to the bedside in each encounter, but it's something that I try to, because I think it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, okay. So you come back to the U.S. though with your mother, I'm guessing. She moved too?
We actually moved. My mom remarried a few years later in London. So that's the next stop. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So tell me the story. Now you went to London?
So we moved to London, and I instantly gained 3 stepsisters and a stepdad. Well, not instantly, but so it's sort of a change in dynamics. And rather than going to like a third school system, I went to the American school in London.
Okay.
And that's sort of where I finished middle school and finished high school. I think it set me up for an American education, and that's kind of the reasons for me coming back to the States. It's like, gotcha. I could have gone to an English school, and some graduates did, but I think we just sort of dovetailed much better with American colleges.
And so you went to undergrad. Your college experience was in the U.S.
That's right. Yeah. So
where'd you go?
Worcester Polytech.
Worcester? No way. Wow. Okay.
It was right after the first shuttle disaster.
Are you talking about not in the 80s, the Challenger?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in grade school at the time. I remember watching that live on TV. That was just so impactful for every child watching this live. I think I was in about second or third grade maybe. And that was crazy. So go ahead, don't expound why. So that happened. And
I don't know. Let's get the names mixed up. There's one that sort of burned up on reentry, and there's one that had the O-rings and exploded.
That was the O-ring. The Challenger was the O-rings, and the big thing was it was all these kids are watching it nationally because it was a teacher on board. And it was just there was so much excitement. It was absolutely devastating from a national standpoint. Yeah,
I think we'd have had that. That was the case in my school. I don't know. It was influential. I was like, wow, this is like technology at its height and doing all these great things. And then this disaster happened. So it really sort of motivated me. It's like, we can't like turn away from this. We've got to like go all into it. And that was the influence that made me want to sort of think about engineering and kind of getting into that.
Wow.
Sphere.
Cool. So you said you studied engineering. I also was, as we've talked about before, I was a civil engineering undergrad, and yours was mechanical, correct? Mechanical.
So yes, for a very brief stint.
Wait, which class did you get to before you decided this isn't for me?
It was just sort of design, designing like cogs, and I was like literally like drawing like a cog, and I was like, okay. Thinking about the forces. I mean, there was some interest. Like, I actually really loved calculus. That was really cool. Calc 5 or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just got very dry, and I was like,
yeah.
And there weren't probably as many sort of CAD computerized things then. So a lot of it was like using your slide rules and calc. It was just it got really dry quick. So probably within the first 6 months, I was always like, great aspirations. The people that can do it, but I need to find something that I actually enjoy doing. So that took a turn towards bio and biotechnology.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Cool. And so your undergrad was like a biomedical sciences degree, or?
Yes. So sort of biotech. Got really involved with. I think one of the first projects we did was trying to create the highest alcohol content from yeast fermentation. Industrial stuff. It wasn't like stuff.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, industrial. Okay.
So we were like, we were sort of paired up with groups, and we remember going to the supermarket and getting all these like different substrates. We tried cereals, oatmeal. There was like some Nutri-Burger that I remember. There was like a frozen Nutri-Burger that, when we used that, we got like the highest alcohol concentration. We actually sort of won the competition, but we must have tried like 50 different substrates to sort of see what would generate the highest alcohol content. So who knew?
Very important stuff.
Very important stuff.
Yes. That's great.
But I don't know. So that was like my sort of first exposure. I thought that was a lot of fun. And I don't know, I was thinking a little bit of bioengineering and biotechnology. Ended up, I think you do sort of sophomore, junior, and senior projects. And in my junior project got involved with some labs at UMass, which shares the city of Worcester with Worcester Polytech, and looking at sort of HIV research, which of course was, a huge problem.
Yes. What year would it have been? Late 80s, early 90s? What are we talking?
This was the 90s.
Yeah.
So kind of got hooked into this project. It was fascinating. This like molecular biology and changing like DNA and looking where the RNA, went in the cells and had these like fluorescent particles, in situ hybridization. You could see where things were. So it was fascinating. It was really cool. I mean, intellectually, it was really neat.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And that spark, was that part of the spark then? I mean, combined with other things, I mean, the medicine.
I was like, wow, this is really cool. It really affects a disease that's like, hurting a lot of people. So I really got sucked into that. That was my step. It became a senior project. We did sort of deep dive. And actually, I sort of initiated sort of the path towards a PhD. I was thinking like, oh, this is great.
Wow.
But, yeah. So plugged into that again, doing a lot of this research, some pretty cool sort of publications that kind of came out of that that were neat on like the localization of HIV RNA and where it was sort of going into cells. It seemed to be sort of affiliated or associated or in the mitochondria. It was sort of very fascinating stuff. So I was initially thinking for a brief period of time of doing a PhD in biotech. So
no, that's I think that's cool. And this is like, discernment is such a big thing. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to be if there's, in your life? And I remember when I was thinking about going back to school for something more when I was still teaching high school. I mean, for a time I was thinking about like a PhD. I really loved my educational psychology courses when I got my master's in education before embarking on my teaching career. And I just love that stuff. So yeah, PhD was in the, that's part of the in the mix for sure, as you're looking at what next, So,
I'm just finding stuff. You find stuff you like,
yes,
right? Let's do more of
exactly. That. Yes, exactly. But you ended up heading towards medicine. What made the final decision?
I just, I think I tell folks the story of kind of waking up 5 a.m., to do this long experiment. It was basically like infected HIV cells and epoxy, and it like, curate them the night before. In the morning, you wake up early to sort of slice them into small slices, put them on a copper grid, fix it, do a lot of processing of it. Essentially, that takes most of the day. And then at the end of the day, you then take these little copper grids with the cells into the electron microscope room. And anyway, I was just, I think this is not, as the story goes, one day, but, many thoughts that probably entered over time that, on that particular day, I think I said hi to the person I bought lunch from and typically have a lot of conversation.
Yes.
And really just felt that, the sort of absence of people and, more frequently in the day-to-day interactions, I just felt was missing. So that prompted kind of me to rethink things a little bit. So translated that into a master's.
Yes.
And started to head towards med school.
Nice. Yeah. And you did. Albert Einstein. Correct. Yeah. Is it okay? So I'm not a Northeasterner, and I hear all these different colleges and residency stuff. I don't know exactly where they are. So Albert Einstein, is that in New York City?
It is.
Is it
in the Bronx?
In the Bronx. It's a Bronx. Okay, so it's a Bronx medical school. All right, good. Thank you for educating the Midwesterner that I am. Okay.
I mean, that in itself, coming from Mass, I was like, oh my God, the Bronx. I mean, New York City. I was like, oh my gosh. So
the big deal.
I mean, I've learned since that the Bronx is vast, and it's not everything's not the southern Bronx, which are a little rough at the time. And there's many beautiful places there. But I have to say, I was a little nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to New York City, which is scary enough, and the Bronx,
right?
So I showed up there with a car loaded with the few pieces of I don't know, stuff that I had. And,
yeah. And did you? What was your school like? Or what was it like there?
Oh, it was awesome. I loved it. Honestly, probably one of the best parts of my life. Really, just enjoyed the whole community, people, and I don't know. It was a moment where I think palpably one could feel that one sort of met had met one's tribe, or you were kind of in a purpose that you felt like, wow, this is so interesting and a wonderful endeavor. But not only that, the people around me are wonderful people, and I'm just so honored. I just felt like I really belonged, which was great.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And when we teach I love when we work with students on shift. That's the kind of the coolest part about, working with the students. Not that I don't love the residents, but the students are still in that wonder phase and just excitement. And, maybe, once you become a resident for several years, you may be, I won't say that, well, maybe sometimes a little downtrodden, or you get a little more cynical, but the student phase is so exciting. Yeah. And just that wonder and amazement. Did you have any mentors or experiences that pushed you into emergency medicine, or how did you end up becoming an emergency doctor?
I was originally thinking pediatrics, which was, that was a misdirected.
Oh, really?
Poor choice for me.
Oh no. Why is that?
No, it was interesting. I don't know. I had plenty of mentors. Rhoda Hirsch, I don't know, she's one that interviewed me, but I met with her a couple times. She's just a wonderful person that was just so inspiring and in medicine for all the right reasons. And many others too. I think the pediatric experience didn't fit. It didn't fit. Really, it's sort of in the same sense that I found some the people in medicine that it was my group of friends, and I sort of felt like, wow, these are good friends. Really felt out of place in peds, palpably so. It was different than what I imagined, and maybe I had some silly, projections as to what it would be like, and it wasn't like that. And it was So went through a little bit of a crisis period trying to figure out, gosh, did I make the right decision going into medicine? And, my buddy, Gary Tatz, was like, he was EMS firefighter, did all this stuff from day one. He was all about EM. And he's like, hey, Beattie, just try emergency medicine. I think you'll like it. And I did. My first day, I remember, I think I took care of probably in a 12-hour shift or an 8-hour shift, whatever it was. I think I took care of 2 patients. One was seizure. Yeah, I was pretty slow back then. One was a seizure patient, and one was a guy with chest pain and sweating. He wasn't a STEMI. I don't think he could be that, but it was terrifying. But at the same time, it was fascinating, and I was like, wow, there's something I can do for these people that are. And I don't know, it really day one. I was really scared after the shift, but I knew it. I was like, wow, this is so cool because I don't know. I think it was that being in that environment, but also the people. There's all this stuff going on, yet everybody sort of had this sense of humor and camaraderie, and working to sort of do good for the people, the patients, and that's something really appealed to me.
Oh, that's awesome!
Very instantaneously. So never looked back.
Done. You're done. Sold. Nice. Okay, so.
I do want to put it out there. Einstein has since gotten that huge donation of
talk about that.
It's now free. I'm hoping they're going to make that retroactive. I'm just out there into the ether.
You want those checks to roll in your way, huh?
Well, I had some loans.
Yes, you did some
loans.
Right there, you go. Right. Yeah, that was crazy. Who made the donation, or what was it? Because everyone goes there free now, completely in perpetuity. Right. Correct? They get so much money in this fund that they just the profits of the fund or whatever, the interest and dividends. Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. Who was it? Who donated that money? Do you remember?
I think it was it was a wife of a graduate. Einstein. Or I'm not sure if it was Einstein or whether it was Yeshiva University itself. But either way, very few strings attached. I think it was the donation's purpose is to really sort of get doctors to graduate debt free, which is cool, and then not be pressured to take, jobs elsewhere and perhaps stay in the community. I think there's some pretty neat motives there.
And also enables people to take jobs that aren't necessarily, the highest paying specialties. If you want to, maybe some that are more primary care based or something. Right. So I think that's wonderful. Yeah.
I think that's sort of what I was reading about. That's my understanding. But I'm sure it's much more than that. That's really cool.
That's so cool. Yeah. So cool. All right. So you did residency at it is a kind of a legendary, to the rest of us who didn't go there, we just hear this word and we hear Bellevue, and it's like, one of the pillars of emergency medicine. And I need to hear about this. Tell me about this experience. Bellevue.
Bellevue's, really was super happy about getting that. That was like, my aspiration residency. So I was like really happy about that.
Yeah.
It's Bellevue, NYU, and these are now, I guess, the late 90s, right?
Okay.
So still no duty hour rules. Still, there are very few protections for residents. I think when I went to residency, the attendants were like, "Oh, well, you're not a resident. You don't live here. We used to spend weeks in here." But we actually sort of did. Certainly on some services, we would spend a lot of time there. I mean, CV surgery, neurosurgery, many, many hours in the hospital.
Oh my gosh. You did rotations in neurosurgery and cardiovascular surgery?
Yeah, we ran the neurosurgical ICU, which was, really growth experience. So that was cool.
That's crazy.
CV surgery was just,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was rough. I remember there was a point in residency. I remember it must have been like 2 or 3 in the morning, riding in the back of a cab down 2nd Avenue, going back to my apartment and being super happy that I'd get 2 hours of sleep in my bed because I hadn't been home in like 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to be back like literally like 5:30, for rounds again. But I just remember being like, wow, I'm going to actually touch my bed.
That's insane. That is crazy. It's crazy.
It's nuts. It's the thing that was a very real moment. I remember I had the window open just to feel the fresh air. I was looking up at the skyline and outside. And I was
wow. But, so to put this in the big context, because once again, I'm not from New York. I don't know. I just hear about Bellevue. But, I mean, I'm from the Midwest. Cook County Medical Center, Chicago was the public hospital. Atlanta's got Grady. Miami Jackson. Was Bellevue am I wrong? Is it the public hospital? Like it's completely funded as a county program.
Anybody, anytime.
Yes. Right. Right.
Specifically for New Yorkers, the goal is to treat any, all New Yorkers, regardless of ability to pay for whatever comes through the door.
Yeah.
And, it's a really, wonderful teaching institution. I mean, it has been since I think the 1600s, if I remember correctly.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So lots of history there, lots of tradition. Goldfrank, who was the head of the emergency department there, was an absolute inspiration to me.
Wow.
He really beyond, I mean, everybody knows his toxicology endeavors with Goldfrank's toxicology.
Yes.
Very smart individual. But in addition to that, was also just a wonderful humanitarian that made sure that, every resident who trained there sort of understood the value of the training they're getting to really help people and to really sort of consider people and the individual in one's care. So really sort of dovetailed with me and it was, very formative in terms of my thinking about, emergency medicine in this place in the world and what one can do for people.
Incredible. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Wonderful training. Wally Clark too, Jeff Manco, God, great mentors. Lots of smart people there.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Maureen Gang. Oh my gosh. Just great. Great mentors.
You trained among giants for sure. It's so cool. Was it I know a 4-year program. Was it intern year and then 3 years of emergency, or all 4 emergency medicine?
It was all 4.
Okay,
it was not as the one.
It wasn't the 1 plus 3,
and then the 2 through 4. This was a 1 through 4.
1 through 4. Cool. Nice. Yeah. Yep.
I felt that was. I mean, there were 3-year programs out there. That, part of me is like, I'm kind of slow. I think I need 4 years to work it. But I mean, just wonderful people. I mean, oh my gosh, Neil Lewin, probably one of the best teachers I've had, mentors, and doctors.
Speaking of teachers, so I was going to ask you, did your experience at Bellevue and your residency, is that where the passion for medical education was born? Or?
I mean, yes. I mean, gosh, these folks are so incredibly inspiring, so smart, but also really thought about the patients and what perhaps their goals were, and they're also just very influential mentors for me that I still look up to this day. And I think Really sort of great bedrock emergency medicine training. Again, it's the level 1 trauma center. It was the HHC receiving hospital. All the others, they're satellite ones and all the different boroughs, but Bellevue kind of, it's sort of like UF in that when the other hospitals reach their limit, they go to Bellevue. And that was kind of the training that we had there. So really, great stuff. Very, very hands-on. There were no sim labs. It scares me. You're like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
It was like see one, do one, teach one.
Yeah.
Really
the true see one, do one. And you probably didn't lack for these procedures, these rare procedure days and stuff that we have. You probably didn't need those there.
No. Rare procedures like, oh, have at it. The patient needs that.
Yes.
They need a thoracotomy. And you'd be handed an 11 blade, and
oh my gosh! Okay. Wow! It's insanity. That's
it really
cool.
I think my first or second day, I did a rug, which was, not a big procedure, but your first or second day, without like, go there, take this, put that,
put that there, inject this there,
push, and like,
push.
Okay.
That is awesome. Wow, good for you. That's incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the way we train doctors today is much better.
Yeah, it's safer for patients, I'm sure, better for patients. Yeah. But still, wow, there's something to be said for that level of training where you're thrown in the deep end, kind of.
Yeah. It was a city hospital. There weren't nursing putting in IVs. But when I was a senior, I learned they could. But
get out of
here.
For
the first 3 years.
No way. So when you walk in a room, you start talking to them as you're gathering up your IV kit and stuff. Is that what you're doing? Really?
100%.
No way.
CT road trips, those CT scanners, they weren't as ubiquitous as they are today. It was on the 3rd floor of Bellevue. The emergency department's on the 1st.
Oh.
And it's, Bellevue takes up a city block, and it was literally on the other side of the block. So the CT road trip was, you took a patient to the 3rd floor yourself. Yep. You were transport, you were respiratory, you were the nurse, you were everything. And, I remember cases of pushing the patient, bagging them, Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You're bagging as you're pushing. That is insanity.
It sounds unreal, but that really happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is unbelievable, Lars. Oh my gosh.
If you're lucky, you had an intern to help you push.
Oh my gosh. Well, also I can't imagine to do this field trip, you might have to wait in line probably at the elevator with other people, right? And with other beds.
There was a gentleman that operated would operate the elevator and pick you up, and there's a phone that you'd say, "Hey, I'm coming to the elevator."
Yeah. But you might be out of the department for what, an hour, half an hour, 45 minutes? You had to really be strategic about it too. And oh my gosh, the patients are there probably crashing and burning. Goodness.
There's people who's got dislodged, and they moved them over to the CT, had to re-intubate up there.
Oh my gosh.
Update your attending when you got back.
That
sounds tough. It was
Jeez. I can't imagine. I hope our residents listen to this, because this is, to me, this is just probably unimaginable to them in terms of the experience.
It really, truly is a different world and a different time and different expectations. But I think, honestly, for the better.
Yes.
My gosh, I think about it now, and I'm like, oh my, that is nuts.
That's right. Oh gosh. And this is not that long ago. This was you graduated in 2002, correct? From Residency. This is not that long ago.
No.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Wow. We have to be thankful for our quality, our safety, our support that we have here. My goodness.
Well, Wally Carter, he actually asked me to sort of log some hours on the off services, and he's been involved with the ACGME and really has been instrumental, I think, in forwarding some of the rules which now apply, which I think are humane. And what are you learning when you've been like a day plus in the hospital? You're just right. Trying to stay awake.
Yeah.
So that he was my PD, and I have tremendous respect for the fact that I think he's that experience and him seeing what was going on and getting involved in some of the the rules that have come out, I think, is huge.
Oh no, they're incredible. Yeah, to protect our residents and their experience for sure. So residency wrapped up and you're off to your first job, correct? Mount Sinai School of Medicine. What's the story there?
School of Medicine.
Where's that?
I love Bellevue. I mean, as crazy as it was, I loved it. And so I wanted another city hospital. So Elmhurst and Elmhurst exclusively. You know, some of my faculty were like, "Yeah, that's the place to work."
Yeah. Is that? Tell me. Okay, once again, I'm geographically naive here. Where in New York is this?
Yeah, it's in Queens.
Queens, okay, it's Queens now. Okay,
it's sort of the largest borough, if I'm not mistaken, and also the least expensive.
Okay, good for a recent grad, right?
Yeah, and just a lot of great emergency medicine, and you know, what a wonderful place to start.
Yeah,
and attending to really sort of learning in. Steve Kessler was the director there.
Okay,
wonderful mentor, wonderful place. Created an environment that was really supportive for practitioners. It was tough emergency medicine, but great place to start.
And you slid into like the med ed role. I mean, you slid into your residency type of leadership role. Tell me about this? How long did it take for you to get it? You start there. Next thing you know, you're a director of the residency. What is going on here?
It was a number. I was there for about a decade.
Okay, all right, okay. You're right. No, so you got into the residency education.
I don't know. I loved. I mean, I went to conferences. I still felt a lot of emergency medicine to learn, honestly. So, like I've gone to all the conferences. So,
I find it hard to believe after 4 years of Bellevue, but okay.
Yes. And I think gave some lectures which were well received. Loved Journal Club. Kind of got into that. At some point, they asked me to really run that, which incredible. I did. And that was kind of that. I didn't really know some evidence and stuff, but I learned, and that was a very formative experience. Right. Loved it. Eventually, they put me on as the director of the conference, and then the site director, and it just evolved.
Wow.
And so cool. I was basically APD there with Peter Shearer as the PD, and Andy Jagoda first. He was the PD, and then he handed that to Peter Shearer when he went up to chairman. And just really kind of again, it's a lot of the themes. I think I find things that I enjoy doing, and I end up doing that. And that's sort of the story of a lot of the story of my life. And again, it was one of the things that I really enjoyed: mentoring, teaching, and certainly sort of learning the evidence, teaching the evidence, exploring the articles, and that led to just things, opportunities in GME. And
And I won't say the rest is history in some degree, but we'll talk more about it. But that's it, man. You launch into this career in your kind of one of your niches here, being a medical educator, program director now. While you were there, okay, so on your UF profile, tell me what's the Libertas Center and tell me how that came about. That seems like a pretty cool thing.
That's left field, and it speaks to the wonders in the field in which we work. The things you can do with the skills that we have. And I don't know, it was a really wonderful chapter in my life because it wasn't anything I planned or predicted. It just happened based on the community in Queens. So, again, it's the least expensive borough. Every now and again on shift, you come across somebody who has a complaint, and you kind of discover like they're here, they're not legal immigrants. This is a hot topic now, and some of them had fled some pretty awful stuff, and they're here in Queens, New York. And I mean, this one case sort of really illustrates the situation where it came in, it was like jaw pain. Like, okay, you think it's like a dental something. Anyway, the poor gentleman's jaw was like over here, and his face was kind of over. It was. Oh gosh. And you're like, wow. And of course, your first question is, well, gee, and it looks healed. There's not like swelling. It's not like didn't happen today. And you're like, well, how did this happen? And then he tells you this story that's just devastating, which is he opened the door, and some soldiers were, I guess, doing a search. This was in Liberia of the town, and town. I guess the politics are on the other side of the folks who control the soldiers. Anyway, they shoved open the door. When he protested, one of the soldiers took the butt of the rifle and basically smashed his face. So he fell on the floor, bleeding. His wife came screaming out of the kitchen. His dad came down the steps. They were both shot. His wife was pregnant at the time. Oh. And yeah, that's why his jaw's like that.
Wow.
So you're like, oh
my gosh.
Okay.
Wow.
Some Motrin, shakes, and let's get you to the ENT clinic.
Yeah.
But it's not that easy. So even in the HHC hospitals, you have to, have you have to have legal standing in the country. So, you have to sort of achieve asylum or, some sort of legal status.
Sure.
And then the HHC can do something. Without that, you can't.
Right.
And so it's sort of like, okay. And this is, this is one of, several patients that we come across. My friend, Rajiv Bass, my dear friend from med school, who also went into EM, who also followed me to Bellevue in residency. And Elsa Umhurst, he's like my good buddy. He's in South Carolina right now.
Oh, that's cool.
We saw these patients, and it's sort of, what do we do about this?
Yeah.
And he suggested, affidavits. Let's write some affidavits.
Wow.
That would then, go through a court. Hopefully they get legal status, and then we could sort of proceed with helping them.
Yeah.
Which we did. And we did many of those.
Yeah.
Over time, that sort of evolved into reaching out to groups in the community that supported this community.
Yeah.
And, just developing relationships, so like social work groups and a psychologist. But it was tough for people to volunteer time. We ended up applying for a grant with the DHSS, which we got, to our surprise.
Wow.
And as we sort of developed your relationships, we're like, hey, let's call it the Libertas Center. So we applied to the Libertas Center for the grant, and lo and behold, we got it, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Provided seed money, started up. It's currently still active.
No way.
Operates
Incredible.
off donations.
Wow.
And has taken care of a lot of asylees. I mean, survivors of torture, to me, again, hot topic in politics right now, but to me, if you're being tortured and, but legally what happens, you get shipped back to the place where you got tortured. If we can prevent that and document the injuries to get you legal status here, and then, some help along the way. To me, that was a good endeavor.
Incredible.
But again, it's a chapter that I could never have predicted. I feel really fortunate to be part of. And, really, I don't know, just some of the stories are amazing. But again, you're able to do something that makes a real difference for somebody. And for me, very similar to emergency medicine, it was that is cool.
That's incredible.
Doing something good in this world.
Yeah, Lars.
So much more.
Yeah, absolutely. And, getting back to like your thoughts of what's the meaning, why are we here, what are we doing? That's like the highest level right there. Yeah. An example of doing the most with what you got. So cool. That's so neat. Yeah, that's so cool.
Such an odd tangent, though.
I know, but
we never thought that that would be something.
Yeah, sometimes things fall into your lap, right?
What's that?
Yeah, sometimes things just fall into your lap, or an opportunity presents itself, and you can either just coast on by it, or you could, like you said, it was kind of left field. You took a left turn to, well, let me pursue this and see what I can do here and how I can help, and that's the fact that it's still ongoing and helping people is huge.
Denali Fernando, she was formerly my resident, now runs the place and is running better than I ever. Good.
No, but that's so cool. That's so cool. But you got it off the ground. That's sometimes the biggest chore is getting off the ground.
Yeah, so, it's just good stuff. Good.
It is good stuff. How did you leave that dream world? You came to UF. How did that happen?
Kids.
Oh, wait! You have a life outside of medicine? What?
Yeah, life happened.
Okay, life happened. So you must have a spouse then if you have kids. So what's the story here? When did you meet your spouse or something other? Yes.
I met Nicole in Bellevue, in MICU. In the MICU.
Really? It was a MICU romance. No way. Well, I guess when you're in such harsh conditions for so long with someone, you just end up either hating or loving them, right?
Yeah, no, it was funny. You know, she's much smarter than I. MD, PhD, lots of great research.
Oh wow,
and,
incredible!
You know, she was actually like I think I don't remember it. You forget over the years, but I think she was like an intern when I was like I don't know a third year,
probably third year.
Yeah, you know, like But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
she's still with me. God bless her. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
And so family and kids and
okay. And she is an infectious disease physician, right? And researcher.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Here at UF. I gotcha. Cool. Incredible.
And sort of managed us through COVID, infection control. And
oh wow, the protocols around the Beattie house must have been intense.
Oh my gosh, it was nuts. But very, very, I feel very fortunate.
Yes. And the kids. So when did the kids happen? After residency, I'm guessing.
After residency. And I do remember a moment seeing kind of the charges for daycare, which were more than what Polytech cost. So I was like, wait, daycare costs more than my college? And sure, there was inflation.
Inflation. Right. That's insanity. Oh my gosh. And I believe it too. I've heard stories from friends in big cities. Like it's absolutely astronomical. It's astronomical. So it was that. It was partially a financial decision.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, I don't know, hanging out and skiing Bird Poop Park down the way with asphalt and pigeons and there's some cool graffiti on the wall, but it wasn't the same as what I remember from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Fields catching crickets. And
Oh yeah. So. But to go from New York to Gainesville, Florida, that's a big jump. How did that even come up on your map?
Well, we really like, let's look outside the city was kind of the goal. And we looked at a lot of
way outside the city. It's a long ways away. How did you find it?
Places, going to Shreveport, Louisiana.
Really? Yeah.
Places.
Very interesting.
Seemed just a fit. Plus there were, Dr. Tyndall was chair here at the time.
Okay.
And there was an APD position open.
Oh, that's cool.
It was like, hey,
that's ideal then.
For me, that was like, that was cool. Yeah. And there was just like, the university was sort of alluring and kind of cool and still is.
Yes.
It's just like other dimensions besides just the College of Medicine.
Yes.
There's all this other stuff right next door.
It's a huge, very alluring to me. And like, I'm still fascinated every day. Like there's just this whole other campus with so much going on in every dimension, whether it be sports, politics, entertainment. It's just crazy how much goes on up the hill as I've learned to call it now from where we are in college. So up the hill from the College of Medicine, but yeah, very alluring, very interesting, very, very just so much to get into if you want. So, that's awesome. Yeah. So so you came in 2009, is that right?
That's right.
So you've been here for almost 15 years now, Lars.
I know. Coming up. Can you believe that?
I can believe it. You're a natural Gainesvillian and a fixture of this department. So I do believe it.
It's a nice place to live. People are so nice here. I think that's something that I remember coming to New York. I always used to sort of in my head, I'm like, what does this person want from me? They're being so kind. In New York, if somebody's kind, they're selling you something.
Right.
Your wallet.
Yes. That's great. So you came down as an APD, and who was the PD at the time?
PD at the time was Richard Stair.
Okay, Richard Stair. And how long? The residency wasn't that old, correct? At the time, what was it?
So when I arrived in October, that the preceding June, they just graduated the first class.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So very early on.
Yep. And now we've been around for almost 20 years strong. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think it was an 8-person per class residency, so much smaller. And I think almost immediately maybe that year or somewhere in that my second year here, I think he moved on, and
wow.
Then we had a PD that came in, to sort of a visiting PD, if you will. He lived in New York but commuted.
Wait, what? How does that work?
Yeah,
That's absurd.
Wonderful. He was actually really good, and he brought a lot of he'd been PD at other programs, so brought a lot of sort of knowledge.
Okay.
To the table.
Yes.
And I learned a lot from him. But he was here for sort of 2 years.
Okay.
And so I think I don't know where does that put us? Probably 2012 or so. And then I think then Bobby Desai became PD.
Okay.
For a few years. He was my co-APD.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And he was PD right up until I started in 2016.
Yeah.
So
2016, 8 years strong. Wow. 2016. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. And wait, so 2009 when you started, when there's 8 residents, at that time, were you still in the North Tower for the whole ER or no? Was it 2?
So
it was 2 at that point?
Nicole and I timed our move to exactly the point when the new ED opened. At least
really?
I started it opened in late October 2009, and I started on November 1st.
Okay. Wow. Brand new. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So 8 residents probably spread across that whole South Tower ER plus the Peds ER. That was kind of stretched thin, I bet.
Yeah. It wasn't as busy. I mean, I don't know.
So I've heard.
Maybe that's my perception, but
no, I think you're right. I think
volume was about 40,000.
Wow! So we're like 4 times that now.
Yeah, I mean, again, you added in the freestandings and the TVs and all that. So but I think we're 60 to 75,000 somewhere like that in the adult. So
just in the adult, but then there's another. Yeah, I think between the 2 freestandings, we're at the similar number, 60 to 70, and then the Peds gets 30 to 40 a year. Yeah. So we're almost 3 to 4 times that number that you were seeing.
I think 138,000.
Was that last year?
It was pre-COVID.
Oh, pre-COVID. Oh, we're beyond that now.
36 last year. I mean, these are stats I gather for the ACGME. So
okay.
I want to say we're going to hit 140 this year.
So we're 3.5 times of what when you started, and that was, gosh, wow, 2009, 15 years ago. That's craziness. That's crazy, that level of growth.
It's
different world.
Freestandings were a new concept.
That's true. They were still kind of new when I started residency. I started in 2011. No, sorry, 2015. I started med school in 2011. But 2015, they were like the big thing, freestandings, and now they're kind of a just part of our system.
Kind of given.
Yeah, they're a given. Exactly. So you become the program director, and you've been doing this. You've been, I don't know you're so passionate. The residents love you and stuff, and we, other faculty members. What keeps you so motivated and excited and passionate? I mean, you've talked a lot about this care for people, and you just got this infectious quality about you, Lars, that I think people really are drawn to.
I don't know. I mean, I really feel, I found a career that I truly enjoy. I love. I really, find purpose in what I do day to day. I think when you can find that connection to something that you do, and rather than it being going into shift, being at something that drags you down, it lifts you up. And, sometimes I'm having kind of a crummy day and I go to the shift. I'm like, that was awesome.
That's great. But,
and I think, a lot of people find that in emergency medicine. I think that's so wonderful, because just what an opportunity, what a great place to be, to really try to change the dynamic of illness and human frailty, and really sort of be that person trying to helping to change that. That's what a privilege, what a wonderful gift. Yeah. I really love that. I love being there. Yeah. And hopefully helping other people see that and find that and feel it the same way. I think, and this sort of ties into the match and everything we touched on before, right? I feel emergency medicine has gone through this sort of phase of, it was very popular, pre-COVID, really competitive. And I think there was a little bit of salesmanship going on there with this lifestyle. It's like, hey, you only work 15 days a month, maybe even 12. That's great, right? It sounds wonderful, but I think anybody who does the job knows, 2/3 of those shifts are overnights or in the evening when you're not seeing your family. That's you gotta have some love for the job.
Yes, you do.
You do. Place your family a lot of times in a month.
Yeah. So, it's definitely affecting your sleep and your health in that regard. So absolutely.
I think in a way, the whole phenomenon with the match, things have come down to earth a little bit. People have sort of realized, okay, there's the whole. I think the whole jobs report that came in a few years ago, I think it's fundamentally flawed, but that's a different story. I think people are getting back to emergency medicine just because of the wonderful place that it holds in the house of medicine, in that the role. Like, people come to us for help.
Yes.
Very nondescript, no categorizations, and we meet them at the door, and we try to do exactly that.
Absolutely. And also, I think people love our specialty, being part of our specialty, because we get to be the diagnosters and chief, diagnosticians in chief, I guess would be maybe the word. I mean, we get to. There was when I was a student, I did a rotation at UF Jacksonville as an away rotation, and one of their clerkship director, Tom Morrissey, gave the best analogy I've ever heard for emergency medicine. It's like you have a party and you're like, come on down, we're having a party. I got some pizza, we have some cupcakes, come on down. And so everyone comes from internal medicine, surgery, they all come down to the party. When they get there, all the emergency docs have licked all the frosting and eaten the cherries off the cupcakes and picked all the pepperoni and taken the cheese off of the pizza, and they get the leftovers. That was his analogy, and I love it to this day. Tom Morrissey, UF Jacksonville Emergency Medicine. Thank you for that. Yes,
it's so true, right?
Yes.
And, I don't know. I mean, and resuscitation, right? So just near and dear to my heart. Again, really having a skill set, an advanced skill set to be the best person in the room. I mean, there is nobody better in a resuscitation than an EM physician. That knows their stuff. I mean, that's the person you want in the room.
Absolutely.
So
we are the experts. We are the experts in resuscitation.
And pepperoni too.
Yep. So the match, this year's match last year was kind of a disaster, and there's a lot of, all sorts of alarm bells and everything else. And this year's match, just briefly talk about, for our people that aren't maybe tuned in, and as a whole, better situation, correct? Stabilization, maybe. Talk about this.
Yeah. So, I think close to 50% of the programs last year didn't fill. That is, and there's some just exorbitant number of spots that were open. Some programs didn't get any didn't match anybody. So it was a really dark year for emergency medicine. At Cord this year, that has reversed itself to a large degree. I think it's interesting. You look at there's many reasons for that. I think one is the sort of fear of that jobs report. Well, maybe it's not as bad as we're thinking. Geographically, it sounds like there's still going to be spots in rural areas, like tons of spots.
Yes.
So, downtown Miami, downtown New York, you're probably going to know somebody for a job, but outside of that, there's going to be jobs. I mean, look at us. There's jobs.
We're constantly hiring. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think, I think the sort of fear of that has gone away, and people are choosing emergency medicine for that role that it has because of the pizza party, because of all the sort of delicious things you get to do. And people are finding, this is the place where you see the breadth of medicine. You help figure out what's going on with your diagnostics. And then, when push comes to shove and somebody's sick, you resuscitate and you try to fix that. You fix that a lot of times. That's a wonderful, wonderful, cool place to be in medicine. And so people are choosing it, I think, for the right reasons. And that, I think, is a reset. I mean, there's a shift in the complement, the makeup of the people applying. There's sort of more DOs. It's a broader house of medicine.
Right.
But
which is fine. Which is great.
I think it's great. I think
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yep.
Very organic.
Yes.
People are in it for the right reasons.
Yes.
And I think, one sees it and the folks coming through.
And we did well as a group. At UF, we did well. We filled strongly. We're excited about our new interns and stuff.
Yeah, really super class.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to get
I know. Yes.
Spoke to them briefly on the phone.
Cool.
Excited.
That's so cool.
On the next day.
Yeah, and you said something interesting, maybe in a faculty meeting, but talk about the connection. Like a lot of these individuals really had some sort of a connection to UF, whether a visit or someone who.
Yes.
We'll talk about that.
So the majority, I want to say, I don't quote me on the number, but I want to say 9 either rotated through here, signaled us, or visited us on our in-person days. So, I think when people know us, they like us.
Yes.
And, for that reason, come to us. So that's super cool because that's very organic. And, we want people to know what we represent and who we are.
Yep.
And it seems like, when they do, a lot of them choose
us. Yeah.
Which is great.
That is really cool. Yeah. And we know they're here for the right reasons. They know what they've seen it. We know them, they know us, and they know what they're getting into. So that's pretty sweet. That's cool. All right. So let's get away from the professional, maybe. A couple things about Lars Beattie, the person. So one thing, I think this is so fitting for you and your European sophistication. I went to your house for the first inaugural in-home journal club, which I hope we do more of, by the way. And I'm happy to volunteer and host one here in my house.
That was fun.
It was a lot of fun, but you have this sick architectural home, and I'm not surprised. But first, it's so you just kill it. It's not really mid-century modern. Maybe it's like this really cool, like almost like 80s architectural look or 70s. What is your design aesthetic, and where did this come from? And how did you pull off such an amazing house transformation?
European tastes. That's right. No, it's right, man. It's like a love guy. Franklin, Franklin, right? So a lot of his buildings, he's genial. I mean, there's really some brilliant spaces that you just go into and you just feel so welcome or at home. So a lot of that's I'm trying to recreate some of that.
You're doing it. You're doing it. You're winning.
Claude Armstrong, oh my gosh. He's passed away, but I walked into the architect building that was doing Shands. I'm like, hey, I need an architect. And it's like, well, what kind of architecture do you like? And I was like, I don't know, Frank Lloyd Wright, modern-ish. And he's like, try these 3 people. So I called a couple, and found this architect, Claude Armstrong, wonderful guy. We became great friends over the years that we worked together to design the house and have it redone. So he's passed. Claude, thinking of you. And just wonderfully was a wonderful help to guide in that. But yes, really, just wanted sort of clean sort of architecture with modern bent
and you blew out a wall and put in glass, which is like the classic Frank Lloyd Wright, communicating with your living space and nature, and you look out over like a beautiful pond, which is just majestic.
Inviting nature and trying to break the barriers between them, right?
So cool. So inspiring. I need to get on your level here, Lars. What are your other interests and pursuits?
I have nothing.
You have a dog. I know you love your dog. You're a dog guy.
Yeah, of course. Moose.
Moo? His name is Moo.
Mr. the Moose. I guess he started out as Mr. the Moose, became Moose. Now
Moose. Moo. Okay. Yes.
He's a mutt. And I mean, he's the best Frisbee dog ever.
Oh, cool.
Any Frisbee thrown anywhere.
Nice.
Maybe up in the tree. But.
That is cool. So you're a Frisbee dude. You get to throw a disc. That's nice. That's cool.
But that, biking. I don't know.
Cycling.
My kids have got me into the gym.
Yeah, I see your
sons are body shaping me.
Oh no! So you have how many?
You have to go to the gym, pops.
So you have what? Two sons? Is that right? Two sons and no daughters, correct?
No daughters.
And they're how old?
13 and 17.
Oh wow! Wait, are they? So I see you every once in a while at Gainesville Health and Fitness, which I know a number of residents and faculty and other people go to, and PAs. Your sons go there too?
Oh yeah.
Oh really? They're probably the ones in like there's the what's it called, the leg den, right? The leg den. They're probably the ones with like 400 pounds on the bars in the leg den, huh?
Yeah, no, they're nuts.
They're beasts. They're beasts.
My youngest, he's like in the basketball court. I mean,
okay.
He's always like, Pops, why do you play basketball? You're so tall. I was like, no, I didn't grow up in the States. I don't know.
Yeah, right? You were probably kicking a soccer ball around.
It's all these great shots. And so
yeah.
Steven, he's all over, but he does a lot of climbing too. He goes to the knot and all that in addition.
Yeah.
So yeah, he can hang upside down using a claw.
That's nuts. Yeah. So your kid's dragging you into some things, you probably do some things with them and some family stuff, huh? Yeah. Very cool. Cool. And then your favorite, what are your favorite Gainesville spots? Whether it be places to like eat out or go out or like places to walk or see, what are your favorite things?
Oh, well, all right. Yeah. So, I mean, Hawthorne Trail for biking. Oh my gosh. That's just,
I didn't know it was a bike. Oh, it's a big biking place. I've walked it once and that's cool. Hawthorne Trail. Why for biking? Is it because it's shaded or?
Well, sort of the Hawthorne Trail, I guess, is sort of one of those rails to paths.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, just a great biking, very flat, very Florida, but just beautiful.
Okay. That's good to know. No one's mentioned that before. Yeah.
Put me hiking anywhere, as long as it's not like mid-Florida blazing hot summer.
Yeah.
I love going out to Payne's Prairie and
me too.
For the respite that it provides.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, close to the home, upper crust, you will find me there very often on weekend mornings if I'm not on shift.
Nice. That's also a favorite of mine. I feel like we limit that one just for health reasons, but yes, love that spot. Love that spot.
Just amazing. Yeah. Amazing,
in fact, that place was one of the so when I met my spouse, she, my wife is from Gainesville, grew up here. And that was one of the places that she kind of put on my radar before we came for the first time, because she was trying to entice me to come and want to move to Gainesville eventually. And she told me about Upper Crust before I ever came, and it lives up to that just upper echelon of the best baked goods, European style croissants, that you could imagine. It is so good, good.
No, I agree. I mean, really delicious.
Yeah,
delicious
cool
stuff.
And then what's the last? Okay, so I've asked this question to most people, and I take it off the list now. You can't say the people because the people in our department are wonderful. But what else besides? Give me one other thing about UF Department of Emergency Medicine that really is unique or special or meaningful.
I don't know. I think the community. I mean, it revolves around the people.
Yeah.
But there is a sense of community, with the nurses. I mean, I walk through the ED and chat with the nurses and the people on shift. But that sense of community is super important, and I think just something wonderful. I think the fact that we're kind of in this wonderfully busy ED with the acuity that we see, but also and I don't mean this in a bad way, but sort of a small town, like it's a small town feel, like the combination of having that sort of space without the sort of pressures and negatives of a city, and have the medicine that we see. That's wonderful. But it's hard to get away from. You said, but besides the people, it's hard to get away from that. Like,
I know it is.
Really surrounding the medicine that we do is really inspiring to me.
Yeah.
And the people, the nurses, docs in that space where we work day to day is fantastic. And it honestly is, I think it's a beacon to the world, honestly, and how people from many, many, many different backgrounds come together to do some really good stuff for a lot of people every single day. Yeah. And that's cool. That's what it's about. Cool. We're all finite beings, right? We're all transient in this universe, and gosh, being here and being part of that, special.
Very cool. That wraps it up well. Lars, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
No, Chris.
That's all for this episode. Special thanks to our chair, Dr. Mary Patterson, for supporting this podcast, and to Dr. Giuliano DePortu for composing our theme music. I'm Michael Petrauskas. Be well.